Hey there, Treant. Yeah, so some good changes there, mate. I can see where you're coming from. So, couple of little things I'd maybe just chuck in the mix now. You've got it. So, you can't see what I can see here, because I've got another screen in my hand. That is my alternative account that I use for scanning. But I've got a massive opportunity to spawn about here. As soon as the buildings are out of the way. Where the number 6 is of level 46, there is your spawn zone. So what I would suggest that you do, move all these buildings further toward this rock. Now the golden rule is 2.5 squares. So if you have you see how these are quite close to each other, you could literally delete the middle one and delete that one, and then put the other two, 2.5 squares this way, and that would obviously give you it would push the spawn zone much further out towards that rock. You want people to have to travel to your base. You don't really want them spawning directly on it. So have a little look at that for us, bro. Obviously, and I'll keep checking with you. It's hard now we're on the same team that to obviously view, but I say I've got another device in my hand, so I can see what's happening. My next observation as well is I would want to spawn basically where your war factory is there. Now again, push them these oil out a little bit, because bearing in mind with a lot of weaponry now, you're going to fire over the top, aren't you? So they're not really acting like a barrier, these extra sort of oil storage and things like that. They're just basically they're not going to help. But what you can do though is by moving them out, you can push your spawn zone out much further. So where your spawn zones need to be tweaked, there's an area here you can spawn. So we've brought a couple of buildings around there, and then pretty much I mean, you're right this side. This side's working okay. Again, you could maybe push them out a fraction. But what I would suggest is what's the first thing that you're going to attack for? If this was your base, when you try and sort of distill it, what would you go for? Well, for me, it's always going to be that war factory. That's the first thing I want to target. So I'm naturally wanting to spawn here, and then I'm going to go straight for that war factory. So yes, you've got salvos and things along that sort of line. You've got machine guns. Now, obviously, they're starting to get a bit better, so get them up to 5s and 6s and things like that. Obviously make sure your turrets, what have you got in your turret? Your turrets are level 6, obviously start to get that at level 7 as soon as you can, things along that sort of line. But I'd be putting a couple of mines in this sort of area. You've got a couple of cheeky ones there. But again, have a little think about where they're going to come from. They're likely not going to come around the side of that rock. They're likely to sort of come from where the M is, aren't they? They're going to come in from that angle, so chances are you could probably get in between those two mines and over the top of. So have a mine in the middle, probably where the thorium store is there, and I'd be having maybe a mine sort of here where the 6 is, somewhere in that sort of region, just to obviously make it a little bit difficult to attack this war factory. The other thing I'd have a look at as well, now I mean, for me that command centre is disposable. It's not really critical. The things that you want to be protecting at all costs really are your war factory and your barracks. I mean, I even quite like what you've done with the helicopter there, because the helicopter, you know what I mean, most people are going to take the helicopters out, aren't they? You know what I mean, with obviously Zeus or machine guns or whatever it might be, but basically helicopters aren't really a difficult attack method. So the fact that you're putting that there suggests that they'll go for that first, maybe thinking, well, I'll take that out first. So that buys you a little bit of time. But what I would be suggesting is if you had the war factory, war factory can stay where it is, that's fine. It doesn't have to necessarily be in the barracks, remember, because you don't have to protect it. But if you move those turrets, around to this sort of area a little bit, that could mean that you can bring this whole wall section in a couple of squares. It's kind of the turret that's holding the wall out that way. Now let's play devil's advocate. If you take that turret out of the way, well, there's nothing really of value to kill around this end. I mean, I've still, if I take everything out at this end, I've still got all the nasty stuff to try and take care of. So I don't think you necessarily need to defend anything around that sort of side. You could let the guys take that out for fun, you know what I mean? It's the turrets they've got to obviously take on next. And while ever they're clearing that, then that's absolutely fine. They're not clearing anything else. So I'd maybe just reduce the size of the base again a little bit more. Get the War Factory, obviously, maybe slightly more central, and get that command center possibly even outside the base. And use that as a bullet stop because they're quite difficult to take out. They do obviously take a little bit of punishment. So I'd maybe have a little look at that. But you know what? From where I saw it to where it is now, it's coming on absolute leaps and bounds. And what we'll keep doing, mate. I mean, don't get frustrated. I'll keep obviously suggesting new things that you can tweak and change. And then obviously we'll see how that sort of works, mate. But no, absolutely fantastic. Thanks for taking on board, my feedback from last time. Cheers, bro.